Joining us now is a man who's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, a man who is now in the Houston Texans Ring of Honor. Ladies and gentlemen, JJ Watt. Hey, congrats to your Burnley team getting the first Premier League win yesterday.
Thank you.
Who'd we play?
Pat, I'm fired up. I'm fired up today.
How come?
A lot of reasons, but you just hit me on one. Freeney, Hall of Fame. Reggie Wayne, Hall of Fame. Andre Johnson, Hall of Fame. Shane Leckler, Hall of Fame.
Easy as that.
Put those four in.
Bingo. I don't even know what we're voting for. We just voted. All in favor of those four going in, say aye. Aye. Easy. You're welcome.
Also fired up your ratings. I mean, it was fucking
JJ! You son of a bitch, JJ! Yeah. You win one game in the Premier League against Luton.
Of all people.
Take him out of the Ring of Honor.
Yep, no Hall of Fame.
Take him out of the Ring of Honor now, Houston.
Update it.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
Anyways, the ratings through the roof.
Yeah.
Hello, ESPN.
Yeah, well, now you're trying to.
Yeah, too late.
Now you're trying to, you know what I mean, Jake? We have to, before we go any further, please, we have to update the marquee. This is just how this goes. There it is, JJ. Hope you're happy. Hope you're pumped up. Hey, those ratings are awesome. Let me drop an FCC fine in here. Thank you, JJ. Honestly, though, we appreciate the hell. You're a massice of this.
Thank you, JJ.
I mean, that was disgusting. Let's not make a habit out of what you just did right there. But
No, it was.
We do appreciate
Mostly I'm fired up because I'm in New York City and I had to go lift in a gym and a guy took my rack. I was pretty pissed about it.
What'd you do? Did you start adding weight on there and say, oh, is that right? Okay. You want to...
Well, I had three options. I could, one, do nothing and move on. I could, two, politely say, excuse me, that was my rack. And three, I could absolutely lose my mind and just go pure alpha gorilla on him. And I'm getting soft. I realized I'm getting soft. I retired. I went option one. I just said, people are looking at me. People know I'm here. I'm going to just move on and go to a different one. And I do not like my decision. I do not like it at all.
No, this is good.
Good.
This is good.
I feel bad. I feel bad and just, I don't feel good.
So the guy that took your rack knew who you were, you think, or no?
Well, he had just walked in, so I don't think he knew I was doing two things at once, which you can say that's good or bad, whatever. But he walked straight into this machine and started using it, and I was just looking outside of my eye, like, is anybody going to say that's my machine? And nobody came to my defense, so I was like, all right, let's move on.
What machine? Legs?
Hey. No, we were near the end. We were doing some pull downs. Just getting the back, hitting the back, the lats.
And now that you mention it, you do look small, doesn't it? Your back
it changed.
Yeah,
Back looks smaller.
Is that a medium shirt?
Oh, my God, because we saw that
Oh,
jacket.
it's a small.
Hey, it looks good. Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. Love everything about it. That jacket they gave you, the red one, congratulations, buddy.
Hell yeah.
What was that like? Was it emotional for you? Honestly, you get back into Houston. You are the conversation of the entire city of Houston again, and you obviously wanted to play for the Cardinals and have done a lot of things post your Texans career. Getting back in there, being the belle of the ball, was it overwhelming? Was it awesome? How would you describe the weekend back in Houston?
It was incredible. It was incredible to have my entire family there, to have my son there, to be able to spend it with everybody. Saturday night, we had a private dinner. The Texans did it first class the entire way. I mean, they brought everybody in. They set up a private dinner for just my family and I on Saturday night. They brought all the legends back in to be there for it. Every single thing was done first class the whole way. And it really, really was special. That's my first time being back in that stadium in over 2 years. So it just felt really good to be around the Houston Texans fans, and it was very, very special. I appreciate it very much.
Well, congratulations. You've definitely earned it and deserved it. And they asked me to cut a video for it all. And my only thoughts were like, it makes sense that your name is going to be on that stadium forever, because every time I was in that stadium, because of you, it was the most electrifying stadium I'd been in. I know people say Seattle's the loudest stadium. I didn't get a chance to play there. The loudest stadium that I'd ever played in was Houston. And it had 7 different names, but every single time we played down there, it was for the division pretty much. It was prime time, and you seemingly would have a massive game. Only time all year where my eardrums would hurt after the game never got talked about much, as how great the home field advantage was for Houston. And I think it's all because of you. So you've earned it. You deserve it. And I appreciate the fact that you tried to get everybody's hand, even though you only had one. What a moment that had to be for you.
That was tough.
Yeah.
That was tough. A lot of legends, a lot of great players there, and I was trying hard. We did rehearsal the day before, and I didn't have Cole with me, so there was no problem. I got out there, and they opened up those doors, and I was like, oh, no. What am I going to do here?
Oh, no. And then there's kids at the end. Imagine if you don't high-five the kids at the end.
Oh, no. The kids, I was like, I got to leave these guys hanging. I'm sorry, but through my head, like, you know NFL halftime, it is 12 minutes on the dot. Like, they will not mess around with that 12 minutes. So the lady had already told me, like, keep your speech to 2 minutes. Do not go over 2. And I was like, all right, I don't know. What do you think I have in my head? Like, I don't have a clock. So, and then the handshake thing happened, and I was like, this is going to take a half hour. I'm screwed. I'm not gonna And it was great. But I do want to say you've always been incredible to me throughout my whole career. I always remember the top 100 thing when you spoke and had great words to say. So I'm very, very appreciative all my career to you and everything that you've done. So thank you, sir.
Go to hell. All right, let's move along. Let's dive in. You've earned it. We're proud of you. We can't wait for the Hall of Fame celebration. What was your speech? Houston, it's an honor to go in to the ring of honor.
It is hard to speak to 75,000 people, and it's impossible. Like, you want to say heartfelt stuff, and you know that they can't hear you. Then they start chanting, and I'm just like, all right, I'm just gonna say I love you, and let's get the hell out of here.
So I go out there for WrestleMania this year in LA, and I haven't spoken a stadium, in my life, I don't think. And I start talking. I'm like, "What's up, Snoop?" And then I hear. I'm like, oh no, I got a lot to say. It's like I started talking slower. I'm like, well, that ain't the right answer. This whole thing, I'm happy you battled through it. I'm happy you're in there. It was a great weekend. Let's talk about that game. I thought there was a chance that because it was your mom's birthday, happy birthday, Mama Watt.
Happy birthday.
You were going into the Ring of Honor. I thought TJ was maybe going to feel the juice of that. I thought maybe this was going to work against the Houston Texans. Instead, that was not the case at all. What did you see from the Houston Texans live on the field that make you say, hey, this is a different team than what it's been for maybe the last 5 to 10 years, JJ?
I mean, they did an incredible job, but it all starts with the quarterback. C.J. Stroud is playing unbelievable football right now. I mean, he's literally having one of the best starts in history for a rookie quarterback. I mean, he's not thrown an interception yet. He's playing lights out. And the offensive coordinator is doing a great job of keeping everything simple and keeping the scheme safe to put him in position for success. And you got to remember, he's doing all this with a second/third string offensive line. He hasn't made any excuses. He hasn't complained. He's just gone out there and balled. So anybody that wants to make excuses on other teams for, we got these injuries, we got that injuries, CJ's standing back there doing it with a backup offensive line and doing it well. This is a perfect example of what CJ can do for you right here. This play, TJ wins off the edge. It's a play action. He wins immediately. He's right up in CJ's face. All CJ does is sidestep out of it, and he uses his legs to get some space, finds an open guy, and fires it downfield. I mean, the composure that he has in that pocket and the way that he's leading these guys, it has to give you incredible excitement if you're a Houston Texans fan. And I mean, between him, D'Amico, Will Anderson, these guys, they really have something special brewing.
How is Will? We haven't talked about Will one time, I don't think. Everything's been about C.J. Stroud. How's he doing? How's he appreciated in the building?
Will's good. I love talking to Will. He loves ball. I mean, when you talk to that guy, you can just tell. He's dying to learn about the game. He wants to get better. He wants to improve. And also, he's a physical freak. And when you put those two things together, you got a recipe for real success.
Go ahead, AJ.
TJ, what do you think when sorry, JJ.
Oh,
geez.
Wow. I mean, what? Is this the bit?
I caught myself,
is this the bit now?
It is. I think
no, maybe it will. It might turn into one. JJ.
Right.
But TJ's coach, Mike Tomlin said they're going to have more padded practice. They're going to start banging a little bit more in season. Do you think they're excited? And have you ever had a coach kind of publicly let you guys know, hey, this week's practice is going to be pretty fun?
I personally was a guy that liked that because I think that you have to find some way, whether it's working harder, whether it's, making changes, whatever it is, you have to do something. And I believe that you have to let people know, this is unacceptable. And if that's saying, hey, we're going to have a tough week, and if you don't want it to be this tough, fix it, figure it out. But the one thing I'll say is Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season in his entire career. So if there's one person that I trust to, I'm going to give that guy time to figure it out, it's Mike Tomlin. He's pretty damn good coach.
See, what you just said there is what a lot of people in Pittsburgh have been saying for a long time. This year seems different.
A little different.
Because he's been standing by Coach Canada. We're not going to put you in a position because obviously you're literally with TJ just a couple of days ago. But there does come a time where some defensive side of the ball players, I'm not saying TJ would, that they see the offense just struggling and struggling and struggling. It's hard not to get just defeated by that, right? Especially if you have a great defense.
Yeah, and one thing that I'll say, obviously I was in that stadium. I was watching that game. I could feel the momentum. I could feel everything with the game. And this is something that not just with the Steelers, but with a bunch of teams that just gets at me, man. 4th and 1, you go in the shotgun. And, oh, my gosh. Now I get it. We can show the Giants play where they put the offensive lineman back there to push, and they still didn't get it. But, man, I would go with that 1,000 times than going out of the shotgun and trying to throw the ball like I'm 4th and 1. I was in that stadium, and you just knew at that moment, you were like, oh, this is over. Like, that was your 4th and 1 play? This is crazy.
Yeah, Ben Roethlisberger said, I see him jog out there, and I go, oh, they're trying to draw him off sides. That going in shotgun, they're going to try to draw him off sides, and then they see it get snapped, and Ben's like, well, how is this what we came up with? Especially at that point when Najee, I assume as a defensive lineman or even as a secondary, you see the guy in shotgun, it's like, hey, earmuffs here, obviously they're not actually going to do this. And then when they do, excitement, I would assume, out of your eyes.
Yeah. And that's what Najee, that was one of the best games Najee's played. He had a very good game. He's one of the only guys out there that had the great game. And give him the ball or sneak it or something. Not only did you drop back the pass, not only did you take a long time to drop back the pass, you also got your quarterback hurt. Like, it was the culmination of just a bunch of crap together, and it was just not good.
Did your mom have the split Watt jersey on? What was the costume for the Watt family?
No, but it was the box was a weird place because I'm obviously a Texan. I'm being honored by the Texans. We're all excited for everything with the Texans, yet we have blood on the Steelers. And we are going to see my brother after the game, and we are going to have a conversation. So a big play would happen on either side, and we knew the cameras might come to us any time. So we're like, I don't know what to do with my hands. I don't know what to do with my hands.
I don't want to disrespect Houston because this is very nice. This whole place is putting my name up there. But also, brother and I worked on that this offseason. We're happy. Let's talk about another guy who tied your brother in one game. Khalil Mack had 6 sacks in one game out of nowhere. At some point, you would think they'd be able to stop him. He's an OG now at pass rushing. Obviously, he's had a lot of records. What did you see from him this weekend that makes you believe he's still got a lot of juice in the tank?
Man, let's go through them all real quick. 1, nice TE game. Right up the gut, Khalil Mack, easy right out of the gate. Number 2, right around the edge, push. Doesn't even have to tackle him. A forced fumble sack is the best because he didn't even have to do anything. He just got the ball out. Number 3, that's just the TFL. Nice play. Nice TFL there for Khalil. Number 4, doesn't count as a sack, but this one does. Strip sack. Strip sacks are the greatest feeling on the planet. Number 4 coming up, if I can count correctly, just run right by him. Why don't you? Just run right past him. Number 4, I'm just getting pummeled back there. Not fair. Number 5, I think this is my favorite one. But yeah, he chips the chipper 65 miles out of the screen, comes flying back in, gets a sack. Don't worry, we don't need to see the end of it. And then that was just, I don't know.
Pressure.
Yeah, number 6, boom. Just go ahead. Don't even have to bring him down. Dude, 6 sacks in a game. We talk about TJ had 6 sacks in his first 3 games, and we were talking to each other like, dude, 6 sacks in 3 games. That's a hell of a run. 6 sacks in one game. I had to check my phone 3 times and be like, is this correct? What a run.
How many have you had in the game? What's the most you've had?
3, I think, yeah.
Oh, half.
Close.
Yeah, this guy's sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, McNair, take that red jacket back. This guy only got 3 in one. I just saw Khalil do 6.
What a joke.
Let alone some other.
If I got 4 in a game, I'd probably leave the stadium. I'd be like, it's good. I'm the best player in the history of football. I'm good.
I want to talk about, let's stay in the AFC West there, and congrats to Khalil Mack doing his thing. Randy Gregory was just released from the Denver Broncos. He has 27 total pressures for the Broncos. He earned $27.5 million, played in 10 games. Sean Payton said they're focusing on the future. Whenever something like this happens where they change schemes, and Randy Gregory, what he's able to do in Dallas, he wasn't able to do in Denver, what do you see from him, and how do you think he responds on his next team?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's clearly something there where it's just a separation of either ideologies or philosophies or the way he fits, and they're ready to move on. And now it's a chance for him to go somewhere else and do something. I mean, I know he signed, I believe, a 5-year, $70 million deal just last year. So he's still getting pressure. He's still doing things. It's a chance for him to go somewhere else, maybe to a contender, and help and get a fresh start. And I mean, the guy can rush the passer. I know that. So somebody's going to want him. Those guys are few and far between in this league.
Did they ever tell you, hey, we need you to drop back into zone coverage in your life?
Very, very rarely. And I may have done it poorly on purpose a few times in practice so that it doesn't get asked of you again, you know?
Oh, you're the guy on punt team. First time. Hey, Pat, just want to let you know, going to let this guy go right by me because I never want to do this again. Okay, well, thanks for the heads up. I will certainly avoid it, but it's like, can you try a little bit? It's like, do not want to do this all year. You do not want me to do this all year. So we just got to do one bad tape thing here, and then let's move along. Be who you can afford to be. I appreciate the fact that you were a guy that was able to do that. Go ahead, AJ.
JJ, are there any teams or coaches, like head coaches out there you wish you may have played for? I say all the time, like I'm always intrigued at what it would be like to play for Bill Belichick and the Patriots and like their whole situation they have going. Is there anything like that you wish you would have got to see?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fascinating one because I'd love to see what that building is like and just what – I mean, I've had obviously Patriot way type coaches before and Bill O'Brien coming from that tree. So that's an interesting one. I've always said it would be – very, very interesting to play for Tomlin just because I have a ton of respect for him and all that he's done. And hearing TJ and Derek talk about the way he goes about his business and daily, you know, Tomlinisms and things like that, I would have loved that. My first coach, Coach Kubiak, I mean, my first 2 years in the league, Coach Kubiak is one of my favorite coaches I've ever played for. He played in the league. He understood what it took to be great in this league, but he also understood what it meant to be a player and how to handle that juxtaposition. And I loved Coach Kubiak. And obviously, he went through some health things throughout his career, but he won a Super Bowl up there in Denver. Coach Kube's a great coach.
That happened whenever you're playing us, right? Didn't that halftime?
It was we were playing the Seahawks. We were 2-0 on the year. We started out 2-0. In the third game, we were winning at halftime against the Seahawks. And as we were walking into the locker room, Coach Kubiak had a stroke. And we walked in the locker room, and he wasn't there. And some of us had heard about it, some of us hadn't. And it started to go through the locker room. Like, Coach just had a stroke. And you go into halftime, and your coach has a stroke. You're not coming out like – the second half is weird, man. It was weird. And then we threw a pick six on the very first drive of the second half, and we lost 14 straight.
Yeah, well.
Oh, geez.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Kubiak's all right, though, right?
Yeah.
Kubiak.
Yeah, he's great. He's the greatest, man. He invites me out to his ranch all the time. That is like a salt of the earth. Just great, man.
Hey, you almost,
Close.
you started with the, we almost heard it again. Yeah.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, your love, your emotion was really getting into it. Ty has a question for you.
Yeah, JJ, speaking of the Seahawks, what do you do if your offensive line is like the Giants on Monday night and you give up 11 sacks and just can't block anybody? Like, we've had multiple teams this year giving up 8 sacks, 9 sacks, 10 sacks, and then 11 on Monday night. Like, how do you fix that when defensive teams are going into a game against you and it's like, oh, okay, hey, D-Butt mentioned it earlier in the week, like, guys are talking like, hey, this is going to be a career night. Like, we're going out here just trying to pad the stats right now. Is that fixable?
Yeah, and it's a little bit of a, cause and effect type thing as well, because as you start to give those up, that means that you're losing possessions. That means that you're not scoring points. And when the other team is scoring points, now the score is getting out of hand, so you have to throw the ball. The defense knows you have to throw the ball. So it just kind of creates this recipe for even more sacks, and then it just gets crazy. But, I mean, I think, Armstead or somebody said it, those are the games you dream about as a defensive lineman. You see a team give up 11 sacks. I mean, watch this pocket right here. This pocket just absolutely breaks down. I mean, it's like a wet paper bag right here. And like, it's free. Like, you got a guy up in your face. He's 1 second into the rush. You got another guy winning, swimming on the B gap. Where do you want him to go here? And what do you want him to do? Now, they weren't all on the offensive line. I mean, there's plenty of different things happening here. But you got 4 guys in your face immediately. That is just brutal. And it all starts, I mean, you have to be able to run the ball. You have to be able to keep the game in a situation where it's not so predictable that you're going to just drop back and pass. But as a pass rusher, man, oh man, you just tee off and have some fun.
Yeah, and last week you said something that was awesome. You said there's some times where we're hoping that the offense turns the ball over so I can get back out there and do my thing. I think that's that dog mentality that people talk about. Feels like Seattle's got a lot of those guys.
A lot of them.
Pete Carroll's one of those guys. We talk about coaches that you would like to play for and experience. He's one of those guys that I see, and I'm like, man, that guy's energy is infectious. And this past week, I've been saying, I think the gum had him. Don't you think the gum had a little bit better showing against his mouth than it has in the past? We need to watch that, JJ.
Smacking it. Yeah.
But it was fighting
Real
back.
smack.
It was fighting back this time. Normally, he's winning. That one, it was a little.
How was it fighting back? How?
You just watch. Just watch the.
Thanks for asking, AJ. Thanks for asking. I didn't want to sound. I didn't.
You had to know.
What does that look like?
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Are you
What does it look like? Can you demonstrate, please?
Okay, so normally, Pete Carroll, big, quick. This time, at the peak when it was closing, the gum was holding on to his teeth a little bit longer.
Oh.
You know what I mean? It felt like he kind of lost his fastball a little bit with his teeth, but on the sideline, he still had it. I mean, his energy seems amazing. That team's
What
always.
flavor are you going with? If you're chomping gum on the sideline, what flavor are you going with?
So there was a run there where I want Big Red, where I like the cinnamon taste, but now I'm mint.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm mint guy now, though. I just need the mint so it's like I have a little fresh flavor. How about you?
Big League Chew.
Oh, smack the bag, yeah.
Yep.
Man, I'm convinced nobody eats Big Red for fun. That just sounds like that. Big Red just hit.
They still make it.
If you smoke cigs, you chew Big Red to try to cover up the ciggy smell.
Amen, brother.
That's what it's for.
Damn right.
I thought I saw a commercial for them.
Big Red is like one of those. What was those red balls that you
The
could
fireballs.
Fireball.
Yeah.
You talking about the shot?
fireballs, Yeah.
No,
that's getting
it does kind of
fireball.
taste like that too.
Well,
yeah.
that too.
Hey,
Yeah,
that
those-
kind of had its run, too. That fireball thing had its run, too.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody,
Nips.
let's take
It
this
pops up every
cinnamon.
once in a while.
Yeah.
You get fireballed, yeah.
Well,
You
Hey,
have
JJ,
to.
you better watch yourself around us. We'll be just pumping these little ones towards you.
Yeah.
And you know how people get iced? They're like, oh,
Yeah.
you got iced. We try to make that into you got fired.
Fired.
We make people just chug these fireballs, and boy, after about the third one, you start seeing the sweats.
Oh, yeah.
And the mist, I mean, it is.
there's antifreeze in it. That's why.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Is that allegedly here?
No, I'm
No, that is real.
I think that's real.
It's one of the ingredients.
Wait.
They had to change the formula.
I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
have
they
you on,
cut it with
JJ.
antifreeze.
Yeah, that's
At
real.
least-
That's
I feel
real.
like we could have like a defamation thing here. If you
No,
clarify.
God, we don't need you to
Whoa.
spotlight it,
Guy
JJ. We've
hates
already
good
been in a
times.
couple of those.
Legend.
Okay, we just Googled fact check on the spot. No antifreeze in.
Oh,
Not
come
anymore.
on. Read that.
It used to.
Not anymore.
They
Used to.
used it.
They
used to.
When I
Yeah.
was in college.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, so it
Them
was like
sons of bitches.
it was-
hate-
That's like
Yeah, it
Four
was like what
Loko.
happened with Four Loko.
Four Loko was.
Whoa.
I mean, that was the OG. Like, you want to get messed up, you pop a Four Loko.
I thought about running a Nucky Thompson operation with Four Loko whenever they banned it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I don't know
Smart.
if you know who Nucky Thompson is.
No.
So
No,
whenever
I thought that was.
So whenever he was a guy back in the day during the Prohibition era who was selling alcohol to people.
Yeah.
He was the guy. So whenever they banned that Four Loko, in Pittsburgh, there were still like 4 to 5 liquor stores that had the OG Four Loko. So Nick was a whole new human on his Four Loko. I've never seen Nick Moraldo operate the way he was operating on Four Loko. Four Loko was the super Nick. I would just come back for a weekend. Nick Moraldo would be on top of the bar having a time of his life. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? They're like, that's Four Loko Nick. And I'm like, I love Four Loko Nick. And then obviously he was hungover for 3-4 days because of the amount of alcohol and caffeine and everything in that. But next weekend, lo and behold, Four Loko Nick is back. So they start banning Four Loko. And I'm like, I'm never going to see my friend how I've seen him in his best light. So we thought about buying all of the Four Loko in Pennsylvania, having an underground store. Turns out we could have went to jail for a long time. We looked into it. We decided not to do it. But yeah, Four Loko and I guess Fireball had a different start. Fireball removed the chemical from its recipe in
Propylene glycol. That's right.
Is generally recognized as safe when used in food at levels not to exceed current good manufacturing practice, but nonetheless, Fireball has removed that from its recipe. Hey, thank you, Fireball.
Thank you.
Removing
What are
the grit.
we doing, man?
We're trying to have a good time.
Yeah, exactly.
Humans have been trying to do this since the beginning. You have no idea. How do you think people started smoking the back of toads?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Bingo.
Like there's a thing now that people do. You smoke the back of toads and DMT goes through the roof. It's like, think about the experiments people have been doing for a long time trying to get messed up. De-ice some
There's
planes.
people on this show that I've heard like to experiment a lot. I heard that was like a big thing around here.
That's just AJ drinking his piss and semen.
No, I don't think he's talking about that.
Oh, easy.
I don't think you weren't talking about.
We just opened up
know.
another door that I got to hear about.
Well, that was so he didn't waste any of his stuff. AJ believed everything that went into his body deserved to stay in his body, so that's why he played so well and became the all-time leading tackler for the Packers. You're talking about ayahuasca? Is that what you're talking about?
Oh yeah. No, I was. Yeah, you guys.
You going to the
make
jungle
a lot of
anytime
headlines
soon?
Talking pharma.
Wow.
I mean, I'm retired
big
now, so I
pharma.
can do a lot more.
Big Pharma Show.
Could you imagine J.J. Watt was an ayahuasca enthusiast?
Oh, a shaman?
Imagine your big ass laying in one of those teepees down there.
Yeah.
Just all over. That would be awesome. Hey, JJ, you ever go down in the jungle and do that? Please invite me. I would like to be there. Tone has a question for you,
Yeah.
JJ.
Yeah, it'd be like The Rock in the Rundown. But JJ,
Great movie.
Great
Yeah.
movie. One of the best. he
Stifler's
has.
in that one, right?
oh yeah,
good.
great movie.
Yeah.
I
Christopher
want to talk
Walken.
about the Titans defense and going against Joe Burrow. How does the defense react when they know that the opposing quarterback is hobbled and most likely will not be on the move during the game?
Yeah, there's definitely more things that you can do when you don't have to worry about keeping the guy in the pocket as much as you normally do. As a pass rusher, sometimes coaches will tell you, hey, we got to keep this guy in the pocket because he's very mobile, so you have to keep your rushes limited. When a guy can't move as well, you can definitely open it up. You can, whether it's a spin move underneath or whether it's taken a little bit higher up the field, you have a little bit more liberty to do things. But man, I mean, it's tough right now to watch that and to see that offense and knowing what they're capable of and seeing them the last couple of years and to watch them now. It's really tough, and you want them to be able to get it going. I mean, they have so much talent, especially at the skill positions. And then they bring in a guy like Orlando Brown Jr., and he's supposed to protect that edge. And sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. And this is just a great job here by the Titans defense. I mean, just straight around the edge, strip sack. And they're just assaulting the pocket. And I mean, that's just a clean, easy sack right around the edge there. They're just dominant.
27-3 at that time. You know what I mean? It's gotten ugly. There's a lot of stats that are not good for Joey Burrow right now. If you were Joey Burrow's coach, and we think Joey Burrow's not going to let them bench him or whatever, but there's been a lot more conversation about resting Joey Burrow for later. But then if they lose too many games, they're going to be out of it anyways. How do you balance that, you think, with Joey, a guy like him?
Yeah, I mean, we're at a point in the season right now. A lot of coaching staffs will look at the season in quarters, which was a lot easier to do with 16 games. We're football players, not mathematicians. 17 divided by 4 is pretty tough. But first quarter of the season is done now. So if you're sitting there at 1-3, you got to figure it out quickly. And that's the tough position. Do you sit him down and make sure he's 100% healthy, or do you say, hey, we are better with Joe Burrow at 70% than we are with his backup at 100%, which I think is what a lot of coaches and teams say. At that position, it's sometimes harder to do than other positions because of how instrumental it is and how movement helps a lot. I mean, the ability to move, especially when your offensive line isn't playing at their top level, is so important.
Yeah, that's what AQ basically just said to me via my ear. It don't matter who's playing quarterback. Bengals offensive line is terrible, pretty much, is what he just mentioned there. And that's a reality, too, that I think hasn't really been chatted about because the combo has been around the calf and he can't move. It's like if somebody could run a 4-2, I don't think it's really going to matter at this stage. This has been 3 years in a row now where that has been a talking point. Last year, they were able to figure it out like week 6, week 7-ish. This year seems to be the same old problem. How come teams can't get offensive lines right, JJ? What do you think?
Oh, I mean, I've seen people say, well, they passed on Penei Sewell and they drafted Jamar Chase. So now they can throw the ball, but they can't protect him. Well, they brought in Orlando Brown Jr. this offseason, a big acquisition to try and protect that side, and it's just not working out right now. And they're getting they're getting sacked and they're getting pressure and they can't.
You know,
perform.
though,
we
right?
know what it looks like.
Hey, you know, going into a game if the O-line stinks, right? Like you guys are watching film, like, hey, we got some out here. Right? You know that.
You certainly know when opportunities await. Yes.
And what is it? Is that their communication, their technique, how they go about doing things, or is there just, hey, this guy's a fish, right? This is the guy that we are going to be going through. What is it mostly, usually?
It is. There's certainly, if there's a guy that's a fish, you know that. But then there's also scheme. Like if a team is going to only block with 5 and they're not going to protect, they're not going to chip with the running back, they're not going to keep a tight end in, that's what you really thrive on. Just as much, I'd rather have a one-on-one against a great guy than a chipper or a edge or like a tight end helping with a fish. And I think AQ can speak to that. Like, there's some offensive lines. I remember when I was playing the Bills one time, and I talked to some of the guys after the game, and they said, our coach told us all week, we're not going to do anything special to try and block him. We're just going to go out there and we're going to be good enough. And then I had 15 quarterback hits that game, and he was like, I think we should have tried something special. Yeah. Like you, if you want to stop somebody great, you have to put 2 or 3 guys on them. But the problem is, if the rest of your line can't handle their one-on-ones, you can't afford to spend that much capital and then not have guys out in routes. So, I mean, AQ,
why don't you do it? Why don't you guys block better, AQ?
There's so many things. I mean, we've talked about this so many times, but like when you get JJ, when you get Aaron, like they're the only
Donald.
2 guys that in the history of my playing career where we actually like called the protection 99. Like it was like, hey, this is 99 protection. Who gives a shit where everybody else is? Find him. If he's walking around, we're sliding that way. Back, you got to hold up if they bring a linebacker. And at the time, like it was LA, and they had there was a pretty good linebacker who rushed the passer a lot, and that's what they would do. They would put him opposite Aaron. So
Robert Quinn?
No, it was
Leonard Floyd.
No, it was an off the ball backer. Beside the point, but they would always set
Kind
him
of
opposite.
pretty big part of the story.
I know. Trying to
But
think.
we would slide there, but then you
paint
would.
the picture for me a little bit more.
I'm trying to think who it was.
It wasn't Bobby
Chris
Wagner,
Long?
right?
Littleton? Was it Corey Littleton?
Gardeck.
Singleton.
Corey Littleton, I think, is who it was. But he was a bigger backer that you would put on the back.
With 4 sacks, AJ. 4 sacks.
Killing it.
Gardeck's a
Killing
dog.
it.
Gardeck's a dog. Anyways, go ahead, AQ. Sorry.
Yeah, but like they would
so we
always.
don't know who the guy is.
Yeah.
Well,
Not
it was
sure.
Corey Littleton. That's who it was. But they would put him
Are you
opposite,
sure?
and they would blitz him, so the line would slide this way, and then you'd match up a 250-pound backer on a back and make him have to block. That's the issue, right? Like when you slide to here, now the back has to hold up, and we saw some clips of backs getting blown up this past
Hey,
week.
that Madison block.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw that.
That dude.
That's what you don't want to have happen.
I don't think we have the clip, but I am very thankful for Madison, and so is Kirk Cousins and the 2 old people that work on Kirk Cousins every single week, because he actually took a human bullet for Kirk Cousins with his face and his upper body and got absolutely crushed. But it's not as easy as just, hey, block this guy, because everybody else's job is going to get heightened.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And then the beauty of that for us is if I know, like he said, there's teams that mic 99. So if a team is going to mic point me and slide the line to me, now we just schedule all of our games to play against that. So we know where the center is going. So now we come and pick the center. Yep. And we wrap right around. That's the type of stuff that starts to happen.
So it's not just as easy as block that guy. It's double that guy. There's some other stuff going on. Got it. Noted. Go ahead, AJ.
Let's say you're playing a quarterback like a Lamar Jackson, a guy that can break the pocket and really kill you. How do you have to coordinate your rush all game? You can't just have 2 guys flying around the edge. You have to always make sure someone is wrapping around to secure the contain or whatever. Like, how difficult is that to do for 4 straight quarters?
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks, man. It's so hard, and he's so good at it, and he's so fast and quick. You really do have to try and condense that pocket. And a lot, like I said earlier, a lot of coaches will almost force their guys to bull rush to keep them in that pocket, which we don't love. And then you also run a lot of games. You'll run twists and stunts so that you have somebody looping out to the outside so that if he does escape, then you got somebody going for him. But, man, it's so tough. When he can do this, especially up the B gap, which is one of the toughest to stop, because you got to have a guy taking the A gap and pushing up the middle, and you have to have the edges. The only advantage to somebody like that, and I've been fortunate enough on it once, maybe twice with Lamar, is that they move so much that sometimes you can get lucky and he'll like spin out of the pocket right into you for a sack if you're too high up the field. And I got one of those, and it was beautiful.
Yeah, and Lamar feels like they are Right? I mean, if last week is any indication of anything, and I know DTR threw a ball backwards and they threw, there's a lot without Deshaun playing over there in Cleveland. But if you watch how Baltimore played there, offensively, that was the best game they've had in a long time. And Cleveland's defense has been at the top of the thing. Yep. I think there's a lot of optimism in Baltimore right now. A lot of optimism in Buffalo as well. Go ahead, Connor.
Yeah, JJ, it's supposed that, Von Miller might come back. He said on his show that it's about 90% chance that he'll be back and he'll be playing in London. What's it like for a defense, especially Buffalo, who just lost their number one corner in Trey White, to get a Von Miller back? And does that just make everybody's life in Buffalo 1,000 times easier because he's going to be the one rushing the passer?
Yes. A lockdown corner or a dominant pass rusher can make your defense so much easier. A lockdown corner can take away one side of the field, or they can take away one receiver and absolutely make the rest of the defense's job easier. A dominant pass rusher can do very similar things. Now you're forcing either protections to go your way to open everybody else up, or you're forcing that quarterback to get the ball out of his hands extremely quickly, which makes everybody's job easier. So a guy like Von, who's done it at such a high level for a long time and won multiple Super Bowls, it's really, really big for that defense, and it'll be fun to see him fly around.
He was defensive MVP conversation the first 10 weeks last year.
Yep.
And then they lose him and look like a different defense. Now they're playing great, and he's getting added to the mix. Ooh. Good for Buffalo, good for Brandon Beane. Darius has the last question for you here, JJ.
Yeah, speaking of optimism, your former teammate, DeMeco Ryans, head coach, we get a little peek of like some post-game, speeches to the team and stuff like that. His team figured out with some backups on the O-line how to slow down a great pass rush. But what is it about DeMeco that he's got those guys rolling? I know obviously they hit on C.J. Stroud, hit on Will, but Nick inherited a mess over there in Houston. So what is it with DeMeco that has those boys rolling?
Yeah, I got to sit in on meetings this week with DeMeco. Obviously, I've known him since I came into the league as a rookie, and he was my captain, and I got to learn and watch him. But sitting in his meetings was fascinating because he's brilliant. He's an extremely smart football mind and has unbelievable IQ. But more importantly, it's his communication skills. He has an ability to get that message across to the players and to share his knowledge in a way that they understand. Some coaches have all the knowledge in the world, but they can't relate it to their players and get them to comprehend it. DeMeco has the ability to do both, and it's really, really fun to watch when you sit in that meeting room, and he has such a young team, but he's getting them to understand this 20 years of football knowledge that he has, and he's feeding it to these young guys, and they're eating it up, and they're getting better every single day.
Hey, you're on CBS this weekend?
I am.
Let's go.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. You're in New York.
I will try not to drop an F-bomb there. I don't think it's the same rules over there.
Could you imagine in your suit just the first time? I'll tell you what, this team, Boomer's head might explode.
Seriously.
I couldn't even fathom it.
Here's a good story for you, real quick before I go. So my first CBS job, first week of the season, I'm going in the day before, and I'm just going through, and they're saying everything. And they said, hey, Boomer has his radio show every week. You should call in as JJ from Wisconsin and just mess with him. So I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. So they hand me a cell phone. I call in, and I'm on Boomer's show, and I'm like, hey, Boom, what's going on? And this is JJ from Wisconsin. And he goes, and I'm like messing around with him. And I said something like, oh, yeah, I can't believe all this shit you guys got to do every day. And he goes, whoa, I didn't know it was live on ESPN.
I think it's CBS.
So he came back to the studio the next day and he was like, hey, man, you can't do that type of stuff. He was like mad at me. And I was like, oh.
I'll tell you what, I've never met Boomer, but he heard of what we did one time. Yep. And his first reaction was, I work hard. I deserve that. And I'm like, all right, my work ethic is always going to try to be at Boomer's level. Mm-hmm. Please tell him we said hello, and tell that whole crew we appreciate what they've done for football. And good luck this weekend. Hey, let's keep winning to Burnley, huh?
Yeah, let's go. Up the Clarets. We got Chelsea on Saturday. Huge match.
Ooh. Up the Currents?
No, they stink now.
Up the Clarets.
Oh, never mind.
Clarets.
Claret
and blue. Claret and blue.
Claret jug?
Claret.
What's a claret?
Steal one from those Chelsea lads, JJ. Steal one.
Yes. 3 points. We could use a nice 3.
Yeah.
So what? You guys going to go back down? You don't win? Is that how it works, right?
That's the word.
If we finish in the bottom 3, yes, the bottom 3 teams go down. The top 3 teams in the league below come up.
Yeah, but you guys aren't going to be in the bottom 3, right?
No.
Well, hold on now, JJ. Are you
you don't know shit about shit.
Ladies and gentlemen, JJ Watt. Thank you, buddy.